Hello SuperCoaches and welcome to the Round 17 SuperCoach Preview Podcast. I'm David Campbell and a couple of special guests today. On my left we have 2020 champion Joe Naddaf, and on my right NRL Allstars podcast Mark Barnes. Welcome, gents.
Thanks, Dave. Last night, it's good to be here.
Yeah, well,
how good was that?
Very good. Okay. How are you travelling, Joe?
I was off air with the same into 1700. Teams probably placed nicely. I got one S Johnson that sort of killed me. I was hoping he'd hold that value, so I go to Nico. So I got to find that trade elsewhere, but we'll get there.
Lovely. I think we all need to bow down to Barnesy though. You're travelling very well.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season. I'm at 60 at the moment. I was joking before as well that I was 33 a couple of weeks ago and I've had a fall off. So now I feel like everything's below par for me, even though I'm 60. So, but I'm happy with it and pretty set up as well. A couple of little problems, not quite SJ problems, but pretty happy.
Alrighty, please shoot your questions in. We'll get to as many as we can throughout the show. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll jump into some late mail, gents. It's really our burning issues from Origin. Obviously, the game last night, great win for New South Wales, but a lot of people having reduced numbers this week and relying on a few guys to back up. So we can jump into a few straight out. So all the mail is that Jeremiah Nanai is out for the Cowboys. It looks like he's picked up possibly a bit of a calf complaint last night. He played out the game, so we didn't really see anything on the field. But
I think he wasn't named in the first, but I think he was rested prior to.
Yeah, so
out of the side anyway for.
But he's definitely out. We're not expecting any of the Broncos to back up. They'd have to get back to Queensland and then over the ditch to New Zealand. So if you've got Haas, Carrigan or Reece Walsh, they're next to no chance.
Pretty big call with Kevy with where the Broncos are placed as well. That's right. It's a tough one.
Yep.
I think there's a tip there. If you've got like a Josh Curran or a Ira you weren't thinking of playing, maybe in the first game bank at 40-50 points in case there's any late withdrawals, with Origin and that. So make it earlier one, I reckon.
Yep. We know that Hamiso is out now, so obviously he struggled with that shoulder injury last night, and it looks like he's a confirmed out now. No point risking him regardless.
Great for Fuller owners, those that have held on to Fuller for the round 19 buy as well. So
yep, and he is. For people that still owe him, it's hard. He's still 10% owned, so he's in quite a lot of teams. So,
yep.
And as we said, struggling for numbers this week. That one's going to hurt. But a few that we don't really know about yet. So Harry Grant, he's obviously named to start. Storm play relatively late, and it was in Melbourne as well. So it was all looking good for him. Then did split his head open last night pretty badly. Do you think that'll play into what Bellamy's thinking in terms of minutes or resting him entirely?
I think they need it because I watched a game last week against Brisbane. Garlick was pretty poor with his service, a few forward passes, a few hit the floor. So I can see him coming on after 15-20 minutes max, which is good for Grant as long as he plays. But yeah, if you've got him, you've got to play him.
It's really interesting though because I think the last couple of years, around 16 and 17, Bellamy has rested Grant each of those couple of years coming in. So I think it's a bit of a misconception that it happens towards the back end, because it certainly happens the last few weeks, but it doesn't actually happen that much over the Origin period. He tends to just pick one game with Grant, and then he plays him through the rest at normal minutes a lot of the time. So I would think that maybe it rests on the fact that they've got Munster out already, Pappenhausen's in doubt, which no doubt's going to come up with the trades, and when you have that experience already out, maybe they're kind of forced with it as well with Grant to play him.
Do you think the position on the ladder, being at the top, does that come into play at all? Does Bellamy think, I've got a bit of room to move here, I don't need to play him given our position?
Well, it probably does a little bit, and that's probably the little caveat on him starting or not. I think if it was last year when I think that they were struggling a little bit more, they certainly weren't near the top of the table at this point last year. It's a lot different scenario. And certainly the guys that have stepped in have done well, like Suafolongo and the likes. They've done pretty well, like Wishart's been on fire. So, I mean, it's again those second string guys stepping up for the Storm that are still getting them the wins. So maybe Bellamy does take comfort in that, and they can afford it. Like, if they cop it a loss this week, they're still going to be near the top of the table. So that might come into calculations.
How much does the decider factor come into it? It's going to be mentally draining, it's going to be a physical game, so he might play them this week and save the rest in and get number 2 wins under their belt and be a bit more comfortable possibly. Sure. That's what I would do if I was Bellamy.
But do you reckon that they maybe also could be underestimating, their opposition that had a bad game last week, but a couple of Ricky sprays in a row, and all of a sudden the Raiders from 4 weeks ago turn up and try and give it to Melbourne. I think if Melbourne, and I think Bellamy will be really on this, I think if Melbourne don't prepare like they're going to be into a tussle and take it too easy, then they could get shocked by the Raiders coming in and doing a bit of an ambush on them. So I'm sure Bellamy's thought of that too.
The Raiders have to bounce back after last week. That was shocking.
Well, yeah.
They'll be fired up.
Horrible.
Only way he's up.
That's right.
Dylan Edwards, obviously, last night, really good game. Surely that's, we can put the Teddy versus Edwards debate to bed. You can lock Teddy in.
Yeah.
He's,
Did look out of place, did he? I mean, barring injury or, something dramatic. Yeah. You've got to have Edwards there.
We know you love your Roosters, Barnesy.
I'm a staunch Teddy supporter, but I'll take the silver lining of knowing that he'll be able to line up for the Roosters now and not be out for Origin games. So there we go. But look, Edwards was good last night, didn't do anything wrong. And as long as New South Wales won last night, it was his position from game one. So he was never going to lose that. Like, he was always going to keep that spot unless there was losses or pressure on the coach. And there isn't now. I mean, the first half blitzkrieg that they put on the Maroons, that should dispel any changes at the moment for the Blues.
That's right. I agree.
Speaking of changes, what about for Queensland, though? We all have obviously been very happy in SuperCoach world. David Fifita not named for game 1 or 2. Do you think that, the nature of the loss for Queensland last night brings him into contention for Origin 3?
I think, like most of us, we can't believe he was there for the first game. So it's, if Adam's got a bit of an injury cloud around him, what does Kaufusi offer? What does Capewell offer? Especially a game like last night where you want a bit of punch and something different. So I think Slater's got to probably swallow his pride. I saw a tweet from Fifita as well last night saying, go the effing Maroons. So he's obviously in camp with them, so on their side. So a bit of a Latrell factor there. I think a bounce back factor like Latrell.
I don't think he will. I just think that it was just such a stunning and egregious admission for game 1 that he's not played better since then. He was playing better before. And he has brought in guys like Percura as a 19th man, Kaufusi as 18th man, and he put Kaufusi in the side when they were down on troops. And he brought Kurt Capewell in, and no disrespect to Kurt Capewell, but Joe's right, he didn't offer very much, but he offered exactly what we thought Kurt Capewell would offer at this point of his career. Yeah. And Billy's happy with that. So whilst I think it's an insane decision, I can't see Billy backing down from it, which is great for Supercoaches. It's phenomenal.
Well,
round 19, Dave. We're going to have David Fifita for 2 big bye rounds. Brilliant. It is just insane.
Yeah. Angus Crichton played a blinder for New South Wales last night. Is he going to back up for the Roosters?
Really tough one. And it's tough because it's the last game of the round, right? So
and he's obviously named to start.
And he's named to start, and you could get really burnt if you're the Roosters, if you're a Roosters owner of some of these guys, because it's the last game of the round, and like Joe mentioned at the start of the show, if you wait and have too many guys playing that are backing up, like even a Connor Watson and an Angus, you could be in real trouble because it's the last game and you're not going to have any other options. Probably the thing that I would do is, if you're worried about it, keep your trades if you don't have any trades to make, because you can always make some last minute trades at the end if you need to try and help yourself. But short answer is I think that he will. But the Roosters are going pretty well in the top 4 now, so maybe, the workload for Angus has been a lot and they give him a breather. Yeah,
well, he was huge last night, absolutely immense. I don't see him backing up. Another tip as well, if you do have him and you do have 4 second rows, make sure you bench him. So if there is a late out, you probably get Galvin in or Samuel Faionu, someone just to carry that, rather than have him starting your side and get stuck with the auto emergency. So something to think about.
Good advice. Latrell Mitchell, obviously he also had a great game last night. He's been cleared of any wrongdoing in regards to that amazing Reece Walsh ragdoll. And he only copped a grade 1 charge and a fine for that high shot on Murray Tuolangi. So he's no danger of missing any games through suspension. So that's great news for super coaches who've held him or are looking at getting him down the track. We'll jump into some questions. So James wants to know any news on what players will be getting dual status next week. So this is the last round. And then I think we're working out over the next couple of days who's played enough games to earn dual status. So once lockout ends on Monday, those players will automatically get that dual status awarded, and you'll be able to shift them around or bring them in if you're looking at them. But there's a couple of obvious ones that'll likely get it, and then the rest we're going through today, crunching the numbers on who's started in how many positions and all that kind of thing. So anyone you guys think should be?
I've already all but guaranteed Jackson Ford's getting it. So I mean, I'm going to look pretty silly if he doesn't get in there. But he's been named for a few games in a row now to start with the number 10 on his back, and he's done that. And he seems like his days of an edge forward are almost over. So I would expect Jackson Ford. I think Beau Fermor is the contentious one. He's been named at centre for a few games now, and then he's also filled in as a second rower there as well. I think a lot of owners would like him. Yeah. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out. They're probably two of the bigger names.
Yeah, I think he's named there again this week. But whether that changes or not late will probably be a determining factor. We've also got guys that I think it could really make a big difference on the pod players like Adam Dewey. But Adam Dewey's not going to get enough games, but we know that he's going to be the centre because there's no way he's going into the halves, and he's 6 only in SuperCoach. So he's someone who would be great to get into the centre wing because we know he's a centre going forward, but he just hasn't got the runs on the board yet. So I don't know how Tommy's going to handle that one.
Cody Walker's a popular one as well. Maybe played 3 games at halfback, so they'd be flexible with Dylan Brown and like Matt Murder. They can switch around.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people did bring him in
for that reason,
over the last week or so.
Yeah.
So he'd be a massive one as well. Luke wants to know, with Pappenhausen likely to come out, does that mean Fa'alongo comes straight back in at number 1? He obviously wasn't named this week.
Yeah, it's the obvious one. I think the question is who's going to goal kick with Pappenhausen and Meany out. So Jerome Hughes, hopefully, or
as a Meany owner, I'm absolutely filthy.
Yeah,
but that was the biggest question, right? I think Harry Grant's had a bit of a crack before.
Yep.
Maybe that makes him play him a little bit more if there's no one else on that side that can goal kick.
Maybe it is a deciding factor for Harry if they're low on goal kickers. Maybe they do need him out there. Who knows?
Just give it to Eli Katoa for the SuperCoaches, Craig, please. Come on.
A lot of people have actually been trading Fa'alongo out. If you still had him, do you keep him for this week, knowing he probably does come back in at 1 to replace Pappenhausen, or is it time to pull the trigger on him anyway?
Well, we have seen him just absolutely carve up as a fullback, and they are playing at Amy Park. They are playing the Raiders, who got carved up by the Tigers last week. So as much as Raiders fans might hope for a turnaround, I think it's pretty hard not to start him and just keep him for the week. The break-even's not mega. And it's that old adage, is the money that you might drop worth paying for if you're going to get good points potentially. And for Sewer at 1, I would be playing him against the Canberra Raiders at home in Melbourne for sure.
Cool. All right, we'll move on, but keep firing those questions in. So some outside of Origin, obviously, the rest of the NRL world keeps revolving. The Sharks have an amazing run home. Nikora and Mulatalo are the second and third most traded in players this week so far. Do you like those trades?
Ronaldo, no. Tough matchup against the Bulldogs, especially if Stephen Cronin's back on that right edge. He stiffens outside of the fence. He's got a break even of 74, so you can sort of wait a week. Yeah, the draws are juicy, the price is amazing. It's good real estate outside Trindle. There's results there. There's stats that prove how good he is with Trindle in the team. So I would wait a week. Nikora, part of the last game, there hasn't been much there. So I'm going to pass on Nikora. I'm going to anti-pot him because he's very, very popular. And that's
You're a Nikora fan.
Mate, I'm going to have to go against Joe here. I am all over these two trades. I got both of them in last round that the Sharks played and got the 120 from Nikora, and I was super happy with it. And a few numbers that really pushed me towards it. And it really does depend. I think it's how you believe in the Sharks going on this really good run, because they do have one of the best draws on the run home from now. Nikora has gone 2 years in a row scoring 8 tries per game, and he's got his second try just last round. And we're 17 rounds into the competition now. He's gone from a 33 strike rate of try scoring to a 17% at the moment. That's got to improve in the context of the run that they're on as well. It's got to come up. And when he's got a 47 base and you know that tries are coming, at 570,000 the time is now. I don't think you can wait, because you don't want to be paying 650 for him. That's too much. So you need that value. With Ronnie, I agree it's a bit harder with him. But having said that, it's the same type of thing. You look at the first 6 weeks when the Sharks were unaffected, full strength, and he was averaging 90 points a game for the first 6 rounds, and that included 8 tries. That's a lot of tries, but he's only scored 2 since round 7 now, which is very un-Ronnie-like. So, again, expecting tries on the run from Ronnie, he should at least average 70, 75 plus for the run home from now, so I'm all over both of them for the value.
Yeah, the caveat with Nikora is he's probably priced at about 50 average, so at worst you're not paid 700 grand for that 50 average with the upside, so I don't hate it. Ronaldo makes sense if you go like a Duncan Armstrong, add David Armstrong to him, for example, with a small upgrade there. If you're going down from a big gun like a Latrell or something you want to cash out, it also makes sense to free up money elsewhere. But yeah, I'm going to pass, especially against my doggies tomorrow.
Definitely not a must-have. I think it's a great...
I think it's a follow your gut sort of play.
Yeah, follow your gut. It's also, I think, a better example of getting cash than going down to a bottom dollar and cheapie at the moment at this point in the season. Like, if you make $200,000 going to a Ronaldo, I think it's much better than taking the punt on a $200,000 guy, or just going to enough, which I've seen some people starting to do. Like, just if you've got that guy in there that's worth a lot and you centre in, you're not sure you want past the next week or two. A Blaze Talangi comes to mind, even though he plays round 19. If you've already got 15, 16 round 19, do you want Blaze going forward, especially with the upcoming bye that they've got? Probably not. So he might be someone that's easy to sacrifice and get your extra $110,000 out of that trade.
Trey Fuller is in the top 10 most traded out. Obviously, we've got the news that Hamaso is going to be out.
Reverse.
Reverse that.
I think, like with Fuller, you got to reverse those two trades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how great he can be when he gets the number one on his back.
Mate, he's got a 99-point game without a try scored. So that's probably, he scores half his games basically, and he just looks like he's the most likely on that Dolphins team whenever he's got the one on his back. So I mean, it's a good matchup for him. It is away, and I do think that's a big deal. Like, being away from Queensland, the Dolphins haven't had to do that much. He doesn't have that much experience, but what is he, mid-400s, a decent break even where he's not going to drop a heap of cash. It's well worth the punt just to hold him and save that trade for now.
I just like this Carmichael Hunt returns, just goes and punches between two big guys and just, pokes his head through. So good to watch, that fella. Brilliant.
Yeah, let's get that chip and chase regather stuff going for him, eh?
Time for this week's Best Bets, brought to you by Tab's NRL Same Game Multi. Build smarter Same Game Multis using stats and insights. Download the Tab app today. So I'm jumping on the Melbourne game for this one. I think it's going to be an easy win for Melbourne, but I'm focusing on my players. Always like having some SuperCoach players in the mix. So I've got Melbourne to beat the Raiders, obviously. I've got Eli Katoa as first try scorer, I've got Jerome to score a try as well. So that's paying $41 with that 3 legs.
Going for the big odds, Dave.
Yeah, well, you got to be in it too.
I like mine because I've gone for a game that I think isn't too Origin affected, and that is the Roosters versus Tigers game. It's also a good matchup for the Roosters, obviously. So I've got the Roosters minus 10.5 points on a pick your own line. Dom Young first try scorer, and Teddy to score anytime. And to me, at $23.94, I think that is really good value. It wasn't some crazy 41 to 1 odd day, but I think that it's a pretty likely scenario, especially with Dom Young going on that Tigers left edge. Like, I can just see them hitting that all day with Dom Young, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, I've locked in Super for 2 tries, same game. Teddy 1 try, Radley a try for $26, but I think I might throw in Dom Young and get a bit more $1.80s or $1.70s for any time try scorer with that. Love it.
Well, Rob will be upset that no one did a 200 or one, but that's all right.
I'll find one for him though. There's plenty of options on Tab. Don't worry about that.
And of course, the only place you can place those bets is on the Tab app. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website gamblinghelponline.org.au. Moving on to cheapies. I mean, first of all, is the time for cheapies over? Are we at that point of the season, or do you think there's still money we should be making money?
So team dependent, isn't it? Like, it's just so team dependent. Like, I've seen teams that have got like 16 million value, and if you're going for cheapies, you're going for the wrong players. Whereas I've seen teams for just over 13 million value, and if you're not going for money, then you're going to really sting in the back end of the run. So very team dependent. My general rule of thumb is that I don't want cheapies at the moment. But the other thing that comes into play is, if you've got 10 to 15 trades, I don't know how you can afford to keep doing cheapies coming in that are going to cost you 2 trades, because then you've got to get them back out again. But if you've got 18 plus or certainly 20 plus trades, you can basically do whatever you want at this point, because you've got so many, you've got to use them. So very team dependent, and that's how I would structure it, whether you're going to go for it or not. Position dependent too, though. I don't like doing it at fullback, although over this edge of the Origin period, with Game 3 looming, it is a time where you don't necessarily have to have 2 gun fullbacks the next couple of weeks.
Well, speaking of fullbacks, Fletcher Sharp at the Knights, he's the most traded player in this week. So far, 12,500 SuperCoaches have brought him in. Do you like that?
12,501 because I'm going to be making that trade. Echo what Barney said. For my side, I got Teddy at fullback. I got Euro and Armstrong as my rotating second fullback. So for me, mate, it's a no-brainer. I'll go Armstrong to Fletcher Sharp, and that was fun next week. SJ to Nico, which is a trade I've got to make 300 grand for. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, like you said, Origin period. Latrell's out. Turbo's injured. Ponga's injured. Edwards in Origin. Reece Walsh in Origin. There's not really attractive there. So for me, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
I will say with Fletcher though, it is very much a planning trade.
Yeah.
Like for you, it's great, and planning to have Nico Hines for next week, you have to do. That's a must. You have to have Nico Hines next week. So if the only way you can do that is to get Fletcher Sharp in, then it's a no-brainer. You have to do it. Unfortunately, though, there's some other problems on the horizon, because if you're looking at round 19 and wanting to chase, you're looking at pod plays, and the biggest pod play is that Tom Trbojevic is meant to be back in the next week or so. And if he's back for that big buy round in round 19 and you've got no spot at fullback, or you're going to burn a trade after making maybe 75k on Sharp or something like that and getting back out, it's going to really hammer your trades, hammer your bank, and not be worth it. So you've really got to plan on what your strategy is and what players are going to come in.
Yeah, we've all been burnt by Tommy Turbo, so I think I'll give it at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For sure.
8 or 9 times for me.
Yeah, exactly. Averaging 65 against Penrith and against Melbourne, I think it was. So he's got 2 good scores against 2 good matchups. So if he carries on his way for 60s, I'll take that.
He's looked very good.
Yeah.
Speaking of trades, how many you got left after this week?
Well, I haven't traded yet this week, so I've got 12, I think.
So you have 10 if you use...
Yeah, but I'm not going to use both. I think I might use one. I'm planning on maybe having 11 left. No boost because, you know, boosts are built to be burnt in the first 2 months of the season, surely. That's why we do it.
Yeah,
Joe?
I'm sitting pretty. I've got 17 left with a boost.
What?
Yeah, so I'll make one trade this week.
You should start selling those on the black market. I reckon you'll get a lot.
Actually.
How do you have 17 left? Oh my
Bit of a tight ass now. I just shaped up all right. I got good buy numbers. I didn't panic. I didn't jump on ones that I've got an ethos. I don't go for like Supercoach players. I don't go for non-Supercoach players. I don't chase last week's points. I'm a little bit stubborn like that. I sort of like back the form and the runs on the board. Yeah, so I place good. Hopefully around 20, I'll use my boost there, get the Origin players back. You know, your Harry Grants, Cleary when he's back, etc. So
load up.
Yeah,
good.
Hopefully Carney, just Tommy says, and I can
get
closer to Barnsley.
Yeah, that everyone else is stuck with for the rest of the season. The last guy on the Cheapie Bible list, and it is a bit of an awkward price, so I don't think I'd call him a cheapie, is Gerald Skelton at the Bulldogs. He's only played one match. His name's start this week. Would you be getting him in?
Well, it's 330 odd, but for Supercoach, it's absolutely barnstorming. I've watched him in lower grades for many years. I've been wanting teams to get a chance because he's got that sort of Greg Marzul about him, and he'll carries, and we saw that long range try, a bit of speed as well. He's so good to watch. I'm afraid as a Bulldogs supporter that someone else is going to pick him up in the near future. He just goes on his massive runs for the next 2-3 years. We're going to think, what if? And I want to go this time of year, especially centre wing. I'm going to run with probably 6 gun centre wings. That's my plan. My cheapest single wing is lowest scoring is Euro, so I've got to free.
Fair enough.
I couldn't get near him. I don't understand it, to be honest. At 330,000, he's not cheap. And you could be investing in someone that plays in a Bulldog side that has plenty of players that can come back. So I'd even if he had his 2 games done, you might only get 1 rise out of him and then he's gone again. And you're investing 130,000 above a bottom dollar guy. Again, like we said with the Ronaldo situation, I think a lot of teams have the ability to downgrade somebody to a good playable guy that you can even keep in your 25 on the run home and use instead of going to these guys. And there's nothing worse in Supercoach than getting a anchor around your ankle and getting thrown in the sea with a guy that's going to sit there at 330k and never play again. It's the Chan situation. Yep. He's just going to sit there and annoy you. And I guess maybe some Bulldogs fans that might have some inside info, if you think that Skelton's going to play the next couple of months, then by all means. But if you don't know, then I wouldn't do it.
And not with around 19 buy, so it's a definite no.
Yeah. We'll jump into no-go zone. So my no-go zone this week is not necessarily a player I wouldn't go near. It's players I'm seeing a lot of people trade, and I just don't know why. In the top 5 traded that are in my team, I'm seeing Blaze Talangi, Bo Firma, Ben Trbojevic and Ruben Garrick, who all play round 19. And I don't know about you guys, but round 19 for me has been the hardest buy. I seem to have decent numbers for the first two, but round 19 is the one that I've really had to plan for, and I can't understand people trading out these guys now when round 19 is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I don't mean to do the old Supercoach cliche of team dependent all the time, but I think that there is a little bit of that there.
Yeah.
The one that really puzzles me, though, is Ruben Garrick. And I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, which I said on my podcast this week, but I actually traded him a couple of weeks ago. But I felt at the time that was the time if you're going to do it, because you knew he wasn't going to play for 2 weeks at least. Yeah. And you knew he was going to miss that 2 weeks. But doing it now, you're already past that first week where he's missed it, and next week you're going to be wanting him back. So I don't understand the Ruben Garrick one. I can get around the Blaze one. Only because I think there is teams that are struggling to make some cash, and they can downgrade him. And Ruben Garrick, you're going to want on the run home.
Yeah.
Blaze Talangi is expendable. You're going to get rid of him at some point anyway. So I can understand some of them. Ruben Garrick is a puzzling one.
Yeah, I think Ferber's done his job. You know, he's been averaging 6, can score a try. Yeah, the move to centre sometimes sort of hinders him a little bit, but he's scoring tries out there. Blaze, I saw it last week. I went the pod play and Herbie. Both played around 19 by themselves, sort of like for like. I'm a big Herbie fan. I just think he's so busy and just loves the action. Garrick, reverse that trade. He's just a man. 90 against Penrith at Penrith the week before. Didn't score a try. I think one line break, one try assist.
And he missed so many goals.
Well, exactly. He couldn't strike, but he missed a few tackles. Like, yeah.
He left 20 points on the table.
That's right.
He's also, like, when you look at the numbers, and I'm going to go off the top of my head here, so I might be a few percent wrong. There's something like 40% of Garrick's games are 90 plus.
Yeah.
It is insane. So even though I traded him out, I always planned on burning another trade to get him back in for the round 19.
That right side with DC at Olakawatu, you know, when Turbo comes back, they might get left a little bit more, but you know he's nowhere to be seen yet. Papawaida doesn't mind the right hand side as well.
Yeah, Turbo back soon too.
Yeah. Who's your no-go zone, Barnsey?
I felt like we already smashed the poor young kid, but it was Skelton actually. I don't want to smash him again, but I just, for all the reasons I said before, I just could not possibly go near him. I just think it's quite a bad play, and it might be one where people will message me and stuff or tag me and say, hey, you got 90 again this week, but it's all about the long-term play from this point, and I just don't think that he's a good one at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Joe, who's on your no-go?
Mine's really against the green. Nickera, again from the Sharks. Like I said, I think it's a hunch. It's a gut feel for me. It's not quite there.
Yep.
The price is probably the only... price and matchup is the best part about that trade. I just had him last year, bought him at an average of 70. He didn't really deliver at that stage, so I'm a little bit burnt from last year. And I think just Trindle demands a lot of ball on the left-hand side. So if it was a Nicker only strong half with Atkinson, I'd be all for it. He might bite me in the bum, and I'll probably get abuse as well. But I'm gonna back my gut. That's my number one tip of Supercoach. So I was thinking solid.
Cool. We'll quickly run through captains. So in the top 10% of Supercoaches at the moment, and a lot of this has probably been left till waiting to see what happens in Origin. But when I was looking this morning, Teddy is 58% captained in that top 10% of Supercoaches, which is a massive number. The next best is Jerome at 5%, so it's a massive step off. So I imagine a lot of people were waiting to see what happened in Origin before they decide on their captain. But I mean, if those numbers only shift a little bit, that's still a massive captaincy percentage for Teddy on Sunday afternoon versus the Tigers. Who's your captain?
Teddy.
Yeah, I'm on the performance last week in the rain against the Bulldogs. Without a try assist, 70 or 84 points, I think it was. That was just outstanding. So one try assist has cracked the 100. One player's cracked the 100. It is supreme form. So why wouldn't you against the Tigers?
It's one of those age-old battles in your head for Supercoach where it's like I want to go against the grain, and sometimes it works. Like sometimes it's like this is going to be a really good week to go against the pack and go for someone that's not 58% captain. The opposite of that though is, if you don't go with it and it's a big week and Teddy scores 150 again, you've absolutely killed yourself. Yeah. And so this is a week where I think you need to stay with the pack on the captaincy because it can really burn you. Teddy's got a 5-round average of 100 plus. He's got 2 games where he's played 80 minutes that are below 70 all season, and they're still in the 40s. So, you know, if he goes bad, you're going to get a 75. And that's if he goes bad. Right. If he goes well, he's got 4 tons at the moment, and he's doing that 33% of the time this year. He's tonning up. That's right. So is he going to do that against the Tigers? Probably.
Yeah, to get ahead, we were talking about vice captains, so Jerry Hughes on this list. You'd want 130, 140 from your vice captain. And then even if you do lose that 130, you'll still be scared with Teddy can easily get stuck with a chain auto emergency or something. So you've really got to Good thing is the last game of the week, so you can see what your emergency will be. But your vice captain's really got to go large.
I think that we will see those numbers drop on Teddy because I think that the vice captains can go well. Hines could go well. Hughes has gone 90 and hundreds the last 3 weeks.
Is that enough?
Well, as a guy banking on the Tigers to lose by a lot, sorry Tigers fans, I'm hoping that Hughes gets a really awkward 96 and people loop it and come off Teddy because that's going to be really good for SuperCoach for Teddy holders that just hold firm with the captaincy. And I think that could end up being the case and he drops down by 10%.
Fair enough. We'll take some questions through to the end of the show. Kane, hoping Sean Lane gets dual front row.
So do I.
So do I. It's a bad time for that second row start. We've got to wait a couple of weeks.
I reckon we'll take some sweets and head over to Rob's desk, maybe a coffee.
Yeah, well, you just got to know who to talk to.
That's it.
Any updates on Preston? I'll throw that one to you.
He's on the extended bench, so I think it's the first game of the week, so at least you know nice and early. I think we need him as a club. I know he was close to coming back last week, so let's go Presto, baby. We need you, mate.
Yeah. A couple of people saying we should ask Barnesy about Daniel Tupou, but we need to wrap up soon, so I'm just not...
We'll have a 30-minute Fox Sports special on Daniel Tupou. I've just got to talk to the right people, everyone, all
right? Who did we say had the calf issue from last night? That was Nanai from the Cowboys. John's thinking of trading Drinkwater out to Brian To'o. Obviously buy Jules there.
So tough. I'm a Drinkwater owner and I've just held solid. I had him from round 1 and I haven't traded there because I just really liked him, and I always think that after a few quieter games he just hits a big one. I did like the Cowboys performed really well against Penrith last time. That was a really good game of football, and yeah, I think up there as well, it's really hard because I think if you want Brian To'o for the run home, now's the time to buy him. He's still very expensive, but he's got a negative break even, so the trade makes sense. If you're going to do it, I would just say to yourself that you're not going to have Drinkwater again, and how you're going to feel about that, and how you're going to feel if he does go 90 plus, which I think is a possibility this week. But I think it's a fine trade. It's a 50-50 though. Yeah,
it's a remix again for me. Back your gut, but for me, Origin, third game to come. Cleary coming back is going to be more right side dependent. He's on the left hand side. Luai, we saw it last night, steps back in, back to the post. You're just always against the grain. I was a Taylor May owner for the start of the season. It just pulled my hair out every time we got to Luai. It was so frustrating. So that won't really change. Edwards attacks right, Cleary attacks right. Loves the left to right. It's a lot for me.
How frustrated did you get last night when I think it was Crichton took that intercept? He got tackled 70 metres downfield. They go left, and then Jerome cuts back in on the right.
I was looking at Sammy Walker crossfoot kick on the zero tackle. That would be perfect.
It's just a move that no one ever sees coming from Jerome. No one expects it.
Kevin says, will Trey Fuller possibly come in for the hammer if they decide to rest him? So yeah, as we kind of talked about earlier, we're expecting that hammer will not play for the Dolphins. It's likely he's got an AC joint injury in that shoulder from last night. So yes, our expectation would be that Fuller comes in as he has in the past. And we'll wrap up with this one from Musa. Looking for the final reserve, Blaze Talangi or Jordan Rapana against the Storm?
I'd have to go Blaze. I think against Newcastle, even though it's away from Combank, Blaze has got to be the play. He's much more chance of getting some stats there. I think that this particular question might have come from the ACT because this has to be a Raiders fan. Because after watching last week, I hope the Raiders do improve, but on form, I just don't think you could start any of them.
Fair.
I would go Rapana just for the upside there. I think Blaze dependent on that. Obviously, that shift to the right. Does Moses pack up? That will help you, of course, But I think Rapana's busy. He'll kick 3 or 4 goals. He'll always be there.
Gamble on the upside.
Yeah,
fair
enough. I've just got a birthday shout out, please, to Michael Dirty Kebabs, a very seasoned top 500 supercoacher. Happy birthday, Michael.
Was that Dirty Kebabs?
Yeah, you know him?
No, I just thought I needed one after last night's Origin this morning. It would have been good.
He's a legend, supercoach award. Absolute legend. Plenty of Keirings at home.
Lovely. All right, we will leave it there. Big thank you to Joe. Thank you to Barnesy. Catch Barnesy on the NRL Allstars podcast, where you download all your podcasts.
Yep, everywhere. iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. Subscribe there. We've got the Talking Footy one, all about footy, and we've also got the weekly TLT Supercoach one. So, yep, thanks for having me on, Dave.
No worries. Alrighty, that's it from us. Good luck with round 17, the mini bye. Hopefully you've got enough players. We'll catch you next week.